Everybody, what's up? Frog Stocks here. On this site is financial advice, entertainment purposes only. I'm getting ready to stream the live interview with Edwin Dorsey and Marc Cohodes. Enjoy.
Problems there. But, as you know, when I tweeted about the spaces, a lot of people in the comments were criticizing you. And one of the big criticisms of you recently has been on the long side, fairly or unfairly, for your tweets around three companies, AMC, App Harvest, and Nikola. And I wanted to start off here by giving you a chance to respond to some of the criticism and to give some specifics for people who might be new, or just to refresh everybody's memory. In November 2021, you tweeted that you bought 50,000 shares of AMC, and you said, I think too many people are short it. And that was when the stock was around 38. And later that same month, in November 2021, you said, if Cassava Sciences is worth 88, AMC is worth 200. Don't piss down my back and call it a shower. And then you later tweeted negatively about it, and now the stock's too. On App Harvest in February 2021, you said those that are short App Harvest and Camping World, not to mention Overstock, are playing a very dangerous game. Best of luck to you. The stock was around 10, it went up to 40, and now it's like 5 cents. And on the last one here, Nikola, you tweeted in August 2020, Nikola founder giving 50 people 233 million of stock. Good on you, Trevor. Top-notch thing here. You later said that he was in way over his head and Nikola needed to find an adult to run the company, but you said you were not involved in the stock. What would you say to your critics, especially around these tweets on AMC, uh, um, Nikola, and App Harvest? What is the response to that? Because that seems to dominate all Twitter discussions with you.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. And what I'd say to my critics is they need to go get their mental health checked on quickly. And I'm disappointed in you, Edwin, that you listen to these sociopaths without figuring out for your fucking self. So when I met you, Edwin, you had 0 followers at Twitter and you had no business. And now you make how much a year? How much a year do you make?
A healthy amount, a good amount.
I think you told me you make 600 grand a year. So if we want to get down and dirty, Edwin, that's what we'll do. First off, fact of the matter, I've never owned a share of Nikola. So that's that. Second of all, with App Harvest, Jeff Ubben's on the board. I respect Jeff Ubben. I bought the stock when they did the SPAC convert. Had a great story. Stock flew. Story changed. I told people I'm out. Story changed. Thesis creep is deadly. And I'm out. And that's that. Period. And if people want to be critical of me, great. No problem. But I don't need to listen to bullshit from sociopaths who can't stand my very being because they're jealous of what I've done and who I am. It makes no sense. I've saved tens of thousands of people from AMC. Did I buy AMC? I did. Did I lose $1 million? I did. But my plan was for them to tokenize with T0, which I'm tight with, which would have had the stock at a couple hundred because they would have raised money through tokenization rather than this stupid plan. I always say, bet the jockey, not the horse. Adam Aaron turned out to be a complete imbecile. Was I wrong? Yeah. Did I lose $1 million? Yeah. Did I ever short the stock? No, because I told people I wasn't going to short the stock because I was going to help them out. And many people I helped, and will bring them on if you want for their version of the story. But I'm disappointed that you listen to a bunch of fucking sociopaths who I've made a habit of putting into the ground over 40 years, and it's just fucking bullshit. Otherwise, I would have never done a space with you, because the mistakes I've made, and I've made plenty, whether it's This Can't Be Yogurt or Old Country Buffets or having Goldman Sachs as my only prime broker, that kind of stuff, those are real mistakes. This other stuff is bullshit, right? I lost $1 million on AMC being long. I pissed $1 million, right? I've donated $1 million in the last 5 years to charity, and then some. So I don't need to listen to bullshit either from you or from psychopaths. Am I fucking clear? Am I clear, Edwin?
Yeah.
Okay, am I clear? I never owned Nikola. That's a fact. I was long, app harvest, told people the story changed, got the fuck out. I don't care if it's at 5 cents or 500. If I'm out, I'm out. In AMC, the record is very clear what I've done on AMC. And again, there's no fucking greater motivator from me than respect, than disrespect. And I expect more from you, and I expect for you to use your fucking Stanford education to weed out fact from fucking bullshit. That's all. And I don't need you disrespecting me. Am I fucking clear?
Yeah. Mark, this was.
Am I fucking clear?
Yeah.
I told you I was never long, Nikola, and you bring it up anyway. Okay? Is my word fucking good?
Mark, I fully believe you. It was
Edwin, you asked me if I was long Nikola. I said no, yet you bring it up again. What's the point of doing that? What is the point of doing that other than pissing me the fuck off?
Mark, it was just to give you the opportunity.
Edwin, I told you I'm not long or was ever long Nikola, right? But then yet you had to bring it up. Why do you need to do something like that?
Mark,
Why do you need to do something like that, Edwin? Do you need to show you're a fucking tough guy because you want to stand up to me? Is that it? So you can get more subscribers? Is that it?
No.
Because if that's it, it's fucking bullshit. Okay?
Okay, but Mark, it was just to give you a chance to respond here.
Okay. My response very simply is I'm not long, nor was ever long Nikola. Period. When my story changed in App Harvest, I got the fuck out and told people I got out. In AMC, the record is very clear why I liked it, why I got out of it, and why I told the entire world ad nauseum to get the fuck out of it. Does that clear up the question?
Yes.
Does that clear up the question?
Yeah, Mark, this was not supposed. This was just giving you a chance.
Okay, hey, Edwin, I'm your guest. If that's the way you want to fucking play the music, that's what we will dance to. You got it? I've been in this business longer than you've been alive by a factor of fucking 2. Okay? And I've put a lot more in the ground than what you've mentioned. And to start this off like that is poor fucking form. That's all. So let's get on with it now. I've said my piece.
Very fair, Mark. I thought we cleared this up in advance that we'd start.
Yeah, we cleared it up in advance when I told you I was not fucking long Nikola. Yet you ask about it anyway. Okay?
Okay, I wasn't saying you were long, Mark. Perfectly fine. I'm sorry to start this off on a rough note. And just for everyone joining, we're going to do a bunch of audience Q&A in a bit. So if you guys got questions for Mark, you can request mic access. And a lot of this is going to be doing audience Q&A with everybody. So think of questions you'd like to ask Mark, and that'll be the conversation we'll facilitate in a little bit. So Mark, to go to the happier points here, You were very early on Silvergate and Signature. We even hosted a Twitter Spaces together 3 days before Signature Bank was seized, where you were calling them a publicly traded crime scene, and said they were a great short. You were very early on FTX. It seems like there's more going on where the SEC is constantly sparring with Coinbase. Binance is getting a lot of scrutiny. What do you think? How are things going to play out in the crypto landscape? Are there any more shoes to drop? Are there any implications for publicly traded stocks here?
Well, I think Binance is fucked. I mean, it's just a progression. The progression went FTX, then to the ramps, which were Silvergate and SBNY, then to Binance, which has all sorts of liquidity issues, and then to, I think it's going to go to Tether. And I made it clear to all those listening or paying attention that no one should have a dime at any exchange, especially a foreign exchange. So I think Binance is next and Tether, shortly after that. I think it's just that's the way it's going to go down. And I think Twitter on crypto is like really good. There's some really sharp folks out there, so I'd pay attention to those guys.
Do you have any opinion on Coinbase? I haven't seen you tweet too much about them. Did you have an opinion on the stock or the leadership, or if they'll even benefit by Binance getting shut down? What's your thoughts on Coinbase?
I think the guy who runs Coinbase is a clown, and he has done his company and his shareholders a disservice by taking on the government head on. So I think he should go. I think there's a settlement probably somewhere with Coinbase and the SEC, but they have to manage the company with adults, and adults need to run the show. So I think that's the problem. I think he's a huge problem. I think the business is fixable if you bring in real people who understand that this is a regulated industry, that it should be run by professionals, and Coinbase is not above the law. So I'm not involved. One of the law firms I use does work for Coinbase, so I don't want to create any conflicts, so I'm not involved in Coinbase one way or the other. If you put a gun to my head, I sure wouldn't own it. I'll tell you that. But I don't know anything proprietary.
Mark, I wanted to ask you a little bit about your research process here and kind of process for investigating companies. There was a really good profile on you in the information in May 2020 titled "The Master of Destruction Rides Again," that highlighted a lot of your work on the crypto banks and just general approach towards researching companies. Can you tell everyone a little bit about your research process when you're looking at a name? What does that first hour of research look like for you? And how are you seem to have gotten really effective at getting the attention of regulators and lawmakers and being a very effective public advocate. So if you could tell us a little bit about that, I'd be really interested in hearing how you're able to do that.
Well, as you know, I do shorts and longs, and obviously people want to be critical of my longs, which I take great offense to. We make something real clear. I own Camping World at $3.50. That's where I bought it. Since I bought it, they've paid out $6 in dividends. Right? And the stock's down to 25. That's pretty fucking good in 3 years. And Overstock went 14 to 3 to 120, and now it's 24. That's pretty good. And there's been plenty written over the years, back way before you were born, about me and Canandaigua Wine, and you can check me out with Activision. Canandaigua Wine is up, I think, we sold it up 30 times. And I just find it fascinating that, yeah, I've put people in the ground on shorts, and obviously the people who are in the business are jealous and they can't come up with anything good, so they pick on my longs, right? But I'm not short Tesla, which is up 170 times on people. And I just find I just find this fascinating. So anyway, my process. When I go long a stock, I try to be in high risk, high reward situations where management, because I'm a bet the jockey, not the horse guy in both directions, where I think management, there's some level of it that could be exceptional or can ride the company, to the end. I think Lemonis at Camping World is exceptional. I think TJ Rogers, the executive chairman of Enovix, is beyond exceptional. I think Johnson, who now runs Overstock, has done a really good job in a very volatile world. So I try to look for jockeys who can run the horse in any environment. Conversely, also, I am very cognizant of thesis creep. When the story changes, unless there's something exceptional, I'm out. Story changed in AMC. Adam Aaron didn't want to do my tokenization plan. I'm out. Story changed in App Harvest. They didn't execute the way they said. I'm out. Anything changes, I'm just out. Say it's a mistake, move on, there you go. No problem. Same thing with the shorts. If you're short something, you're betting on a really bad jockey. The people who run Trupanion are con artists. They're liars. They're scamsters. They're the worst of the worst. I'll bet against that jockey, Robin Reyna of Ebix. The guy's a serial liar and cheat. 6 auditing firms in 10 years. I'll bet against him too. Helena Troy, CEOs leaving, busted roll-up, bad accounting, true earning power $2 to $4. Non-GAAP earnings, they claim 10 to 12. I'll bet against that any day of the week, a bust roll-up. But people who are protected, like Elon Musk, guys, knock your fucking selves out. I wouldn't bet against him because he's above the law, flat up. So is Jamie Dimon. Alan Lane, CEO of Silvergate, he's not above the law. He's a dirtball. He went out of business. Stock's down 99.9%. Signature Bank, down 99.9%. 140 to 3 cents, right? And I'm questioned on fucking Nikola? I mean, cut me a fucking break. So that's my process. And my process is I focus on what matters, not bullshit and noise. And bullshit and noise, it's as hard as it is to weed out, you have to. And you can't focus on the day-to-day because the markets are broken, the markets have been broken, the markets don't work, and on any day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month, you can look really stupid. So you just got to keep your focus on what matters, and that's that. So that's what I try to do.
So, Mark, to follow up on this point you raised about markets being broken, and as an aside for everyone listening, if you want to ask Mark a question, just request mic access, and we'll be doing a lot of audience Q&A in a few minutes. But Mark, to your point of markets being broken, we've seen a lot of people say they're leaving the short world or changing their approach to short selling. Andrew Leff said he wasn't going to do any more activist shorts. I think Dan Loeb, in a recent investor letter, said they're really changing their approach towards short selling because there's too much going on with the meme stock and squeezes. What is your view on the state of the short world and state of short selling? If you were running like $1 billion fund or more and needed to have a short book, what would be your approach to building out the book?
Well, first of all, people like Andrew Leff and the smash and grab crowd have a Department of Justice issue in their face and on their plate. So I think whatever resolves from that, the nature of the industry is going to change. What I think of smash and grab. I co-wrote an op-ed in the Financial Times a couple of years ago that a lot of these guys, in my view, are just common criminals. They yell fire in a crowded theater, people run out of the theater and they cover their short and move on to the next thing. So I think those guys who exhibit smash and grab tendencies, I can't stand them, and I think that part of the business has slowed down. So you don't hear from left and Carson and that crowd because the DOJ's after their ass. What happens to it? Who knows? So that whole activism world, if you will, is going to change. In terms of people who know how to short stocks, there's maybe 5 or 6 people worldwide who I think are any good at it. Porter's good at it. Copacar's good at it. Gibson, aka Aurelius, is good at it. He's there's some people who are really good at it, but they manage between 50 and 150 million dollars. So it's hard to do on scale, which is probably why Dan Loeb's getting out of it. But Dan Loeb's not a short seller. I mean, never has been. He can short stocks, but that's not his core competency or what he's best at. And it's fucking hard. I mean, you have the government's not in your favor, the media's not in your favor, portfolio managers hate you, companies hate you. So it's a dying world. So sad, but it's just sort of the way it is. And people are getting out of it for good reason, which I always tell people: one, never try this at home. Two, the average person with any form of mind shouldn't do it. And three, it's very, very, very dangerous. So you really, really, really have to know what you're doing. And as you said in your Sunday brunch, I'm 63. So no one does this at this level at 63, 53, 43, or 33. So I don't know how many years I'll still have my marbles or still have the desire to do this, but I think I'm still operating at a high level, so I'm still doing it for now. But I'll tell you this, Edwin, you don't encourage me at all to, one, talk more about things or be open about things with you paying attention to sociopaths. There's a reason I have 19,000 people blocked on Twitter, because they all would love to be me or do what I do or have the results that I have, and I don't need to be torn down by these lowlifes. I'm hard enough on myself. And again, I'll get past it, but I'm fucking, I'm not thrilled with you for giving those guys and being their mouthpiece, which is exactly what you were. So, you and I are going to settle this later.
Fair enough. Mark, maybe we can talk about some of the individual names you've talked about recently, and then we can shift to audience Q&A. One name that gets a lot of attention by people both long and short is Enovix, an emerging battery tech company that went public through a SPAC, has had some management turnover, but, some people believe has really promising battery technology. Can you explain a little why you're long, the long thesis there, and why the shorts and critics, what they're missing?
Yeah, I mean, I talk about Enovix a lot. Yeah, it's a SPAC, so that draws short attention. Yeah, it's battery, that draws short attention. Yeah, they had management change, that draws short attention. But that's why all these guys are wrong, because the true test of this is, will and does their next generation processes, does it work? Can they manufacture batteries at scale? And if they can, and the skeptics will even admit this thing will be bigger than big, right? But I know TJ Rogers. I've known him for a very long time. He's the best operator, toughest man I've ever known. And I think he finally has the right team in. TJ's fault, and in my mind, he only has one. He's extraordinarily loyal, and he was extraordinarily loyal with the founding team for too long. And when they fucked up, and I'm surprised you didn't find this on Twitter, I called for the firing of the CEO. And the CEO was fired. And they brought in a supercharged guy who used to run Snapdragon at Qualcomm and was at Micron, Raj, and he brought in a top-notch operating guy and a top-notch CFO, and he's brought in all his people, which are world-class. Now, you don't leave a job that pays you between $1 million and $4 million a year, plus options, to go work at a startup where the technology doesn't work. And I've had numerous Spaces calls where I talk about meat on the bone, and they've exceeded production numbers. They have an Army contract, and to get an Army contract, you have to be doing something right. They're on target with Gen 2. They showed on the conference call how Gen 2 works. And you know what? I kind of believe this thing. And while most people with their SPAC stocks up, they all sold, TJ Rogers bought more stock. Raj, the new CEO, he bought more stock. McCraney, who used to be on the board, he bought stock. So instead of insider selling when the stock goes up, there's insider buying. And you know what? I happen to believe it works. It's high risk. I tell everyone it's high risk. I say if it doesn't work, it's going to 3. When the stock was in the 20s, I told everyone, as I always tell everyone, they're on their fucking own. If it goes to 100, applaud yourself. If it goes to 3, you made a mistake, but I'm there with you. But I don't tell adults what to do. I don't tell my kids what to do. I don't tell my dogs what to do. I don't tell anyone what the fuck to do. Okay? But I have a memory. And I know, and I remember when TJ bought Enphase at $1 and the stock went to 300. So if he could do it with Enphase and Enovix has a bigger market, I'm with TJ. Is it speculative? Fuck yeah. Have the skeptics said anything about Gen 2, which gives me any pause? No. They just talk about fired employees, incompetent employees. They personally attack me. They personally attack Greg Reyes, and it's rinse and repeat. That's all it is. And if you have no life, right, go find a life. Because agitating or motivating me just gets me to work harder. And I just don't give a fuck. I got plenty of money. I'm loved by people who matter to me. And other than that, I just don't give a shit. But I think this works. And the proof will be in the pudding. And if it does, whoever's long is going to make a lot of money. And if it doesn't, it's going to go to 3. And I'll tell the skeptics, guys, you were right. You weren't right for the right reason, but well done. Well played. So at 13 or 14 or 15, wherever the fuck it is, in my mind, you got 12 down and you got a couple hundred up. So I like it, okay? The battery, I've tested the battery. I use the battery. The battery's outstanding. And we'll see what happens. If they can produce it at scale, I cannot wait to see where this thing goes. So I like it, but it has extreme risk. So if it goes down, don't say I didn't say it didn't have risk. It has plenty of risk, but plenty of reward.
When you say you tested the battery, what do you mean by you tested the Enovix battery?
So I was at CES a couple of years ago, and they had an Enovix battery and an Apple add-on case that magnets to the back of your phone. And 2 years ago, I told those guys I would like one to try it. And they say, we don't make enough batteries, you can't have one. So when they were cranking up enough batteries, they let me test one. They let me test a battery pack that magnets behind my phone, and the thing is outstanding. It probably has 3 times the battery life of the stuff you can buy. So the battery works. The battery works as advertised. So if they can make the battery at scale, and that is the question, this will be something, and I mean something. So I like that a lot.
Got it.
I like it a lot.
I want to ask you about your other big long overstock, talk about a few shorts, and then we'll go to audience Q&A. So overstock, Mark, there's a lot going on. You highlighted in your recent idea brunch. They've got a lot of crypto ventures with T0. They recently acquired the Bed Bath & Beyond brand, and that seems to be going pretty well, at least based on app downloads. And they're in direct competition with Wayfair. So just a few things here. One, can you tell us like why you're long Overstock and rehash, where you think the fair value is and how this plays out over the next 12 months? And two, can you tell us like your thoughts on Wayfair and how they'll be affected by Overstock? If you think Wayfair is an interesting short, or just thoughts there, because I haven't seen you tweet about them a ton recently.
Silver stock, let's say it's a $24, $25, $30 stock, depending on what day you look at it. It moves around faster than the rape date. Has $7 a share in cash. They have something called Medici assets. The best two performing Medici assets are T0 and Grain Chain. I'm a private investor in both. T0 is run by the former third in line at ICE, walked away from a $4 million a year job to go work for T0 for 6% of the company. T0 is SEC and FINRA approved, trades digital securities, I think is the future, period. What do I think T0 is worth? I think T0 is probably worth today somewhere between $200 and $500 million, depending on your vision and how they execute. When David Goon, the CEO, took the job and I recruited him, the technology at T0 wasn't up to snuff. And I simply said, don't come with any products or do anything till the technology is right. I think the technology is really good right now, so I wouldn't be surprised to see T0 stuff at some point in time or more noise from T0. They also have a division or a company called Grain Chain. Overstock owns 30% of that, and they own roughly 55% of T0. And Grain Chain changes the way grains and commodities are moved. The commodities are on the blockchain. If you farm Jamaican Blue Mountain organic coffee, coffee's coffee, the guy at the port doesn't exactly know what you have. You could be ripping them off. They'll give you $3 a pound and say, we'll pay you the difference, which happens to be $40 a pound when we test what it is. Could take up to 9 months to test it and the farmer to get its money. If you put it on the blockchain, they know exactly what they have. When they go to the port, they'll pay you 80 cents on the dollar for the product. Farmer gets his money up front. Grain Chain keeps the difference, tracks the product, knows where the product goes, and instead of 12 people touching it, one person touches it, and they make the spread and they make their money on the software. I think Grain Chain grew at 400% last year. Again, Overstock owns 30%. I think Grain Chain is worth the market cap of the company of Overstock at least. So let me get into a little bit about the power of Twitter. I have 170,000 followers. I have 19,000 people blocked. You may be blocked after this, Edwin. We'll see how I feel. And one person reached out to me and said, they love following me on Twitter. They own Overstock. They listen to Medici Day. And they want to do a trial with Grain Chain. And I said, that's interesting. Who are you? And without naming names, this is the COO of a $90 billion worldwide company who is now working on a pilot with Grain Chain. So if this works, or they can prove out the pilot, and there's no reason they shouldn't, because we're talking about software here, and you put products that people use every day, especially on their cars, every day, and track these products, this could be a beyond huge deal and opportunity. And that's just one guy. So at least through Twitter, someone very important figured out Grain Chain and is now doing something with them. So if you take Grain Chain plus cash plus T0, you now have an online retail business called Bed Bath & Beyond, which is a far better brand and name than Overstock. So base Overstock will do probably $1.7 billion in revenue this year. They will make money. Street is looking for $1.85 billion next year. I think that number's low. They're looking for $1.9 billion the year after. I think that number is ridiculously low. Overstock will also probably change its name, probably move to the New York Stock Exchange, and now they're in the wedding and baby registry business. And I like Johnson. I think Johnson's really good at what he does. And I think when you take Bed Bath & Beyond online retail, plus cash, plus T0, plus grain chain, plus others, $25, I think this thing's a steal. I've seen the stock at 3. I've seen the stock at 120. And on Twitter, I'm surprised Edwin doesn't bring this up. We had a cannon firing when the stock was 100, and we had Spaces calls telling everyone they're on their own. So if you were foolish enough to listen to me back then on Overstock, it only went from 3 to 100. And if you didn't sell the stock, well, that's on you. It's not on me. And by the way, I'm just a free speaker, and I speak truth to power. And you invade my rights or you break the law, I'm suing the DOJ and the FBI for their famous visit on me almost 6 years ago. I'm still suing them. So I don't put up with bullshit, and I don't put up with it at all. And I don't ask anyone for money. I don't take money. Oh, another criticism was I was paid by Enovix. I'm not paid by anybody. I'm invited to conferences all the time. I've spoken at Harvard, Yale, Columbia, and Stanford, and have never taken a dime from anybody. I pay my own way. I don't have a business. I have a subscriber site on my Twitter. I donate all money to charity. I've made $28,000 in the past 52 weeks for charity, and I've donated $75,000 just off that, plus others. So that is the bottom line. So I don't want to, Edwin, be accused of taking money from anyone or anything like that either. We clear?
Absolutely, and I'm not accusing you of that at all. Let's do some audience Q&A, Mark. So if you're in the audience and want to ask Mark a question, just request mic access, and you can come up and ask Mark a question. And one thing I'd ask from the audience is, if you do come up, please ask a question so everyone can hear Mark's answer and not give some long statement. Questions are deeply appreciated. And with that, let's do PJS. You have your hand up. You can go ahead.
Hi, thank you. Mark, I have 2 questions. You were talking about Tesla. So why aren't the regulators seeing Aaron's tweets as manipulation when Elon has gotten slapped around for much, much less? What are your thoughts on that? And I have another question after that. I'll let you answer.
Well, I've said all along, Elon is protected. And in this country, if you know certain people or you're involved in certain businesses, you're above the law. And Elon is above the law. He has been above the law. He is above the law. Jamie Dimon and JP Morgan are above the law. No matter what laws or rules they break, they pay their fine and they move on. And everyone is in the same boat. Goldman Sachs is above the law. Ken Griffin is above the law. I mean, I can go on and on and on, but Elon Musk is above the law. Has he done worse? Yeah, he's done worse. But Adam Aaron is the architect of the greatest wealth transfer from the poor to the rich you'll ever see.
Do you think that Adam Aaron is above the law?
No, Adam Aaron's not above the law, and I think Adam Aaron's going to find his ass in real trouble. It just takes time because the markets are broken badly, and the government is broken badly. So, you have to, as with FTX and with Silvergate, I mean, I think the Silvergate guys are going to get criminally charged. I think the SBNY guys are going to get criminally charged. But it just takes time to build a case, and it takes longer when there's mass dysfunction, which I think is what's going on right now. So
that's actually a perfect leadway to my second question, this mass dysfunction. So from a technical standpoint, how can the price of AMC and APE be dropped to fit the arbitrage and still uphold, how could it still uphold the basic tenets of supply and demand without collusion? I mean, it just is so shocking to me. And I think immediately of the email that was made public in discovery through the lawsuit with Allegheny between Citi and the board, where it clearly states that like this, quote, like this, it will keep them buying, quote unquote, meaning retail would have to average down after the conversion. How in the world is something like this legal?
It's simply, it's not. But, Adam Aaron has Apollo pedigree. Apollo, look at Leon Black and Epstein. All he does is pay fines and pleads guilty, but he doesn't go to prison, Leon Black. And Apollo, the guy at Apollo, he owns the Washington Redskins. He paid $7 billion for the Redskins. So crime pays. And Adam Aaron is an old Apollo guy. So bond guys own the bonds. They own the bonds at 30 to 50 cents on the dollar. And it was a ploy to trap Joe Sixpack into buying the shit stock, them shorting it, and they make money on their short and they'll make money on their bonds. So the fat cats on the right side of this trade made, and the poor people lost. But again, you may wish to tell Edwin, I tried a year and a year change ago to warn everyone exactly what was coming. So I thought I helped people get out, right? I don't need my ass lambasted on AMC when I lost $1 million. I tried to get everyone out, ad nauseum, and was never short the stock. If I didn't give a fuck about anybody, I would have just shorted the stock, made $10 to $20 million, and everyone would have really been skinned. So it's just the irony of some of the stuff is just rich, just beyond rich. But hopefully Adam Aaron gets his due. I'm a little busy on some other stuff. Otherwise, I'd do it myself.
Okay, with that, let's go to Spence for the next question, and we'll go to Gordo. Spence, you're on.
Hey, Mark and Edwin, thanks for holding the space. It's been great. Mark, I had two questions for you. One is, do you contribute some of Overstock's major success to T0 and the fact that they tokenized on the platform?
Not necessarily right now. I mean, the right way to say it, Spence, is the world has witnessed crypto and blockchain 1.0, and it was a disaster. And 98.9% of those companies are out of business, including Prime Trust, right? How a trust company goes out of business with missing money is beyond me. They're out of business. T0 has plenty of cash, a business plan, great management, and a model they will roll out. But there's no one else on the field. No one. They have the world to themselves. And depending on what happens with Coinbase, what if they trade all these securities that the SEC says are securities, but Coinbase can't trade anymore? So the opportunity, if you believe in tokenization, and we can have a tokenization space call one of these days. If you believe in tokenization, T0 is it, right? And I tried to encourage AMC to tokenize characters, movies, assets, everything. And Adam Aaron, to his, major mistake, said, stand down, right? Said, stand down. And I was on Fox News, and Gasparino said, your idea is really good. What happened? I said, Adam Aaron told me to stand down. So that's that. And what'd you do? And I said, I sold my stock, took a loss, and moved on. Thesis creep. So I'll focus on T0. I'll focus on Grain Chain. I'll focus on Overstock. I think those things are a big deal and are going to be a bigger deal going forward. So that's sort of the best way I can really say it.
Thanks. My second question, based on what Edwin opened with the people that were basically coming after you, saying that you had these losses. One, do you think they're coming after you because they're sour grapes about positions they may have been in against you? Or do you think possibly currently that they may be on the Innovix or the Overstock short side? I would be curious to know the names of the people who make the accusations. So,
Well, they're psychopaths or sociopaths, and I don't really spend time other than blocking them, giving it any mind. It's sort of like someone coming up to Reggie Jackson in Chicago and saying, it's 1988, and saying, Mr. Jackson, I remember watching you play against the Twins 3 years ago, and you went 0 for 15 in the series with 5 strikeouts. You really suck. And let me say this, Edwin, I'm going to start having Spaces calls of my lifetime mistakes in this business because I've made a lot of them. And I would do a lot of things differently in hindsight, in picking names. What you mentioned don't even register on the Richter scale. Are people jealous of me? Yeah. Would they like my record? Yeah. Would they like to be me? I don't know. If they knew my real life, probably not. But there's a guy, Compound 248. He picks on Enovix. He's some fucking lowlife who manages a $2 million ETF, which is down 60%. He should focus on his business and worry less about being short of Enovix. And whether it's Sam Antar, Gary Weiss, or Nate August, or Carson, or all these fucking lowlifes, right, who have nothing. I put them all into the ground. It doesn't even matter. So when you do this at a certain level, you make enemies. But as Portnoy said, and he's right, and Reggie Jackson said, they don't boo nobodies. If I wasn't moving the needle or making a difference or trying to help people out or change lives or exposing scams or calling out bad behavior, no one would give a fuck, right? But because I am who I am, I probably save people, I don't know, $200 million, in Silverbank puts, making sure those work. No one enjoys bringing that up, that I made Robinhood back down, that I made DTCC back down, that I hired my lawyer to work on this. I didn't even have any signature bank options. But I felt so bad for the people who were in the play who were going to get frozen out. I worked my ass off so these guys got paid. And instead of getting flushed and losing all their money, they got paid on puts from 75 down to 50 cents. And I could say, I don't give a fuck, right? I'd rather fly on a plane to Hawaii. I don't give a fuck about Joe Sixpack. I busted my ass to make it right for people. I didn't make any money on it. I don't make money on a lot of things. I don't make money on money laundering in Vancouver. I don't make money on syndicated mortgages in Canada. But it's just rich that people say, I'm long Nikola. I lost $1 million in AMC, and App Harvest went from 10 to 40 to 5 cents. And shouldn't I feel bad about that? Fuck that. And frankly, Edwin, you should go fuck yourself and look in the mirror and say, what the fuck am I doing? Because if it wasn't for me, no one would know who the fuck you are, right? You'd be a guy from Stanford with no business, no Twitter followers, and you begged me to see you. Begged me to see you.
Okay, Mark,
Right?
let's end it there. I think there's been some high points and this has just gone a little too off the rails. So thanks everybody for listening in and asking questions. Hope it's been exciting, and there should be a recording of it so you can listen to any of the parts you missed. Have a good one.
Well, that was interesting. I had a third thing to say, but Edwin dropped me after my question about the people who may be going after him possibly because they are short against Marc's long plays intentionally, which I've personally witnessed over a period of 2 years, short attacks on any play that Marc was long on. It's absolutely crazy. That was a good call. I personally thanked Edwin for hosting the call and having me up to speak. I think Mark did a lot for Edwin, and potentially Edwin kind of overreached a little too much on trying to build his brand and kind of took Mark's, graciousness as a form of weakness. Mark let him know how he felt. So there it is. I do want to say, I wonder why my camera isn't up. I do want to say, let me fix my camera real quick. Oh, it's up. Okay. It's just not up on the live stream yet. That Mark comes under a lot of fire, and he mentioned Reggie Jackson. I was going to mention Muhammad Ali. A lot of people gave Muhammad Ali nothing but flack, and the dude was like 56-5. I mean, it's absolutely crazy that people come out against Mark. I have multiple losses. I have multiple wins. I'm up 306% for the year on my portfolio, and people come at me because of how I picked to play the AMC ape play, which is absolutely insane. The people who always come out against winners are the ones who lose in this market, is what I've noticed. I see people come out who are good investors that come out and go, Spence, what are you doing, man? And I'm like, oh, maybe I better take a look at it again. But when random people come out of left field, random finance analysts and stuff who are down 30% for the year come out after me, and I'm sitting up 300% on the year. Next year, I plan on being over 400, or by the end of the year, I plan on being over 400. It makes me wonder why, and it's because you're against them in the play. They're on the opposite side. They're going to heckle you. They're going to come at you. I would like to know the people who made the accusations against Mark that Edwin brought up in the original questioning at the beginning of the call. Because I think if you don't use your real face and your real name behind any accusation you make, then you're an immediate fraud. Like you should be able to confront your accusers on any basis. But that's the market we play in, guys. It's absolutely insane. But that was a heated call. Again, look, what's happening between Mark and Edward is between Mark and Edward. Mark was really, I know Mark, and I believe that he was hurt by the way that unfolded, because Mark helps a lot of people. He helps a lot of people build up, rub two sticks together and come up from nothing and make something out of themselves. And I understand where he was coming from. It was more of a, honestly, it was more of a fatherly role where he was just disappointed in like a son or something. But check it out, guys. Ape, $1.90 coming into close. Good recovery. If you bought the dip, good for you. AMC ticked back up a little bit too, but Ape is outperforming it on a much higher level. I'm glad to see AMC back over 250. We're coming up into the last day, which is the ex-div date. If you don't own AMC, tomorrow by market close, you will not get any of the settlement, which I'm not telling you you want to buy for that reason. I'm still not going to buy any AMC. I don't want anything to do with the settlement. I think it was fraudulent to begin with. But let's hope tomorrow we tick back up. I would love to see AMC at 350, and I would love to see Ape at 2 to 250 for reverse split conversion. If not, right now at these levels, I'm still going to at least get a 40% profit from the conversion ratio. If you got out of AMC this past couple weeks and you saved yourself, even though Ape dropped 20%, AMC dropped over 50%. So if you missed that 50% drop and saved yourself a 30% loss, good for you. Anybody who got stuck in it, I'm sorry, but I mean, this is Adam Aaron's game. It's absolutely crazy. Let me take a couple comments. Pyro, thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate that. Great content. Glad I found your channel. Is Edwin in the YouTube? I don't know. I don't know if he's here or not, but I will give him credit for his call that he hosted. My super chats will go to giving tips to different businesses in the Albuquerque area, which I will take photos of and show you guys that I actually do it. I'm sure Mark and Edwin will patch things up later. It was a heated call, but it was entertaining. And that's what Twitter was about, and that's what Mark does, and that's what Edwin did, and it was a good call to end the day on. I almost think it made the market move, in my opinion. Every time Mark drops the F-bomb, a stock gains a point. I swear to God. It's funny. It's just like, I got to tweet that. What did Overstock do during that period? Let's see if Overstock did anything. Coin Meta, where are you? Innovix. Where is Overstock? There it is. Nope, didn't do nothing. That's too bad. But again, he's probably getting short attacked right now, more than likely. Every time Mark drops an F-bomb, every time Mark drops an F-bomb at Sam Bankman, SBF, receives a new indictment. That is funny. But guys, I'm gonna go clean up. Got some dishes to do. Dogs are passed out. They're behaving today. I really appreciate you guys. I will be back live in the morning. We'll cover the price action again. I think the initial shock of the drop for everybody is over. Ape ticked back up to $1.90. It looks like it's going to try to close around that. The barcoding to me today, when we barcoded right here, every time, and I've tweeted it so many times, that barcoding ends up turning into some type of upward action. My personal opinion is my thesis still stands. I think there's going to be short covering into the reverse split conversion. I'm not saying it's going to be any type of squeeze, but if AMC can recover $3 to $3.50 and Ape can recover $2 to $2.50, that is going to be a great day for Ape converted. I think a 30 to 40% gain minimum, and we will see. I'll stay with you guys right until close. We're only a couple minutes away from close, so 4 minutes. Check the Twitter feed, see if anything good's going on. 100%. Adam Aaron is a suit. You can never trust a suit. Suits, lies, and precious... Suits, ties, and precious lies. And that's it, man. That's exactly what I did. Adam Aaron is restructuring the equity in favor of the shorts, of the bondholders. That is why I went long Ape. That's why I didn't have any AMC, which I'm really glad I didn't have any AMC. I am now with a $1.90. I'll tell you guys where I sit on my Ape position as soon as I get back in. Probably take me 3 years to log into Fidelity, so. Wow, that was wild. Do you guys see that lightning bolt strike that car? Still logging into Fidelity, loading. Jeez, Fidelity's become dumpster. Let's see. I'm up 12.01% on my Ape position on Ape. Down 8% on my AMC calls I bought this morning. TMF calls, I'm down 30% on that, but the position isn't big. And we're rolling into next week, man. This is a big event. This is a big event this week. We got AMC Ape reverse split conversion. Lots of money tied up into it. BRICS meeting in Johannesburg. You guys explained to you what BRICS was earlier. If not, just type in BRICS. It is a coalition of different economies coming together to basically combat Western economy and try to fight back against the dollar, which could cause a big market event if this happens. If the dollar devalues, people won't want to hold cash. They'll want to be invested in the market, in companies and stocks, precious metals and such. Gold will probably value up from it, which is why I bought a bunch of silver this year. Please make sure you like the video. I think we're going into closing here in a minute. Like the video, sub if you want to chat. We're getting a lot of followers in the channel really quick. I'm trying to construct myself in a better manner to create more quality, consolidated content for everybody that is listening, and I really appreciate you guys that have been here since the beginning. And we're getting ready to close. What are we going to get? And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to watch after hours very carefully tomorrow. Wednesday after hours, I'm going to watch very carefully, because if they are going to let this thing run before reverse split, it's probably going to be then. But we did have a decent reversal. Again, though, be very careful, because we had one yesterday too. They could be getting ready to drop this thing tomorrow. I'm not 100% sure. But you notice how they always let the stock run pre-market right here. Boom, before 4. Because 7 o'clock is usually, Eastern time is usually when people are able to start doing pre-market sales on their stock for retail. So they always let it run before that, and then they knock it down. In reality, though, Ape today bouncing this trend line right here, this was pretty solid price movement all through here from $1.92. This is still technically on a long-term uptrend now. We broke the short-term uptrend, but it bounced the long-term uptrend that we have had charted out for quite a while, over 6 months. So that's actually really interesting that we bounced right there today and wicked up. Maybe tomorrow we do see reversal. If anything, maybe we come back down to $1.70, $1.80 again and roll into conversion. What did we close at? 1 minute. Boom. Market close $1.89. So there you are, guys. I'm going to be back on in the morning. I'm going to take more comments in the morning. I'm not going to do a lot today because we were here basically for the space call. Apologize if you got F-bombs coming over your speakers at work and stuff. Just tell your boss, hey, this is stock market stuff. This is like their second language, how they talk. But appreciate everybody coming in. Please share the video. Please sub. Please like it. And you guys, good luck tomorrow. I'll be back on and we'll cover everything we can. See you later. Froggy Stonks out.